Okay, class, today we are going to go through and take a look at your pretest. So you can see the first question here talks about the differences between mean, median, and mode. This is what most of this test is based on. There's some probability, so make sure you take out a pen and follow along. Yesterday we talked about the differences, so here's the definitions for mean, median, and mode, and they're all different types of averages. Mean is the one you would typically think of as the average, where you add up all your numbers, divide by how many numbers there were, and you find the mean. Mode is the number which shows up most often. So if you take a look at this data here, the mode is 4 because it shows up 3 times. And the median is the middle number when you put the numbers in order. So here I could cross out one number at a time from each side. So if I deleted my 2 and my 6 from the opposite side, my 4, you can see my middle number that I'm left with is 4. So my median here would be 4. We're going to talk about range and outliers in a moment. So for question 1, you should have listed some kind of definition or difference between them, but they're all different types of averages. Question 2. This is where we're going to put this into practice. So it gives you some statistics for goalies here in a hockey league, and you were to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range for each of the games played. Step 1 is I am going to add up all my totals here. So when I do this, my number is going to be 4, it should be 41. 7 plus 10 plus 3 plus 6 plus 2 plus 7 plus 7 equals, oh, perhaps I'm wrong, 42. I count and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different players. So I divide by 7 and I get 6. So therefore, I know my mean is going to be 6. My median, I need to find the middle number. In order to do that, I need to put them in order. So I'm just going to list them out quickly. 2, 3, 6, 7, 7, 7, and 10. If I eliminate one number from the side each at a time, my median is going to be 7. My mode, number that occurs most often, you see here I have 3 number 7s, so my mode will be 7. Now if I take a look at here at my range, we haven't talked about that yet, but your range is the difference between the biggest and the smallest number. So for difference here, that means that I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to take my biggest number, subtract the smallest number from it, and that will give me my range. So if we go back to our data here, my biggest number is 10, my smallest number is 2. So if I take 10 and I subtract 2 from it, my answer is going to be 8. So I know that my range is 8. Continuing on. The grade 7 students' marks for a social studies test are listed below. The test was out of 100. So the first thing I need to do is add all of my numbers together, because I know that I'm calculating my mean, median, and mode for each of these. So if I quickly add these together, and you'll notice that you were allowed to use a calculator for this assignment because you do not need to add up all of these numbers by hand and do your division. Oh, that is incorrect. If I add them all up, I get 1035. Okay? So remember, for my mean, I need to figure out how many numbers there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers. So I take 1035, divide by 15, and I get 69. So I know my mean is 69, because I took my total divided by how many numbers there were. The median, I need to find which number lies directly in the middle. So I'm going to show you a different strategy, and I'm going to count. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers on that side. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers on that side. So I know I need to go one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers, so I know my median here is 72. Next, I need to take a look for my mode. Number that occurs most often, you see there's 3 68s. So I know my mode is going to be 68. Next question asks us about outliers. So an outlier is simply a number that is way different than the rest of the numbers which appear. If I go back to my data, you can see the number that is significantly different is my 0. So I know that my 0 is my outlier because it is different. Okay? How might I explain this mark? Well, the grade 7 students wrote a test, somebody got a 0, my guess is going to be that the person didn't write the test. Okay? That's should be the only reason any of you get a 0 for any reason. So next I need to recalculate my mean, median, and mode without the outlier. That means I take the 0 out of this set of data. So to find my mean, again I'm going to pull up my calculator. I know that my total is 1035, and because my outlier was a 0, my total will not change. But this time, instead of dividing by 15, I'm dividing by 14, because I'm pretending that 0 never existed to me, and I get a decimal. I get 73.9. So I know that my mean is going to be 73.9. That would be your average mark on your test. Next, I need to calculate my median, the middle number. Well, I know if I delete the 0, that these two numbers are going to be in the middle. So what I need to do to calculate what my median is find what my average of these two numbers would be. So if I added them up and divided by 2, what would it equal out to? Or I can simply look at it and say, okay, what number is going to be in the middle? And I know that that is going to be a 73. So my median is going to be 73. And my mode will remain unchanged at 68 because I did not delete any of that. So that is how you do that. And then I need to explain how each average is affected when the outlier is not included. Well, my mean went up, my mode stayed the same, and my median went up slightly. So I could just say that, or generally they move up or down slightly depending on what number the outlier was and on what side it was. So was it the biggest number or was it the smallest number? That is going to make a difference. Next, I need to talk about when an outlier should or should not be included. This question here, should the outlier be used when reporting the average test mark? I'm going to cheat for the answer. I'm going to look at the learning target, and it says I provide examples of when outliers should not be used. So I already know from my learning target that my answer is going to be no. The outlier should not be included. And if we're trying to calculate average, so I know the outlier should not be included, and the reason for that is on a test, it's not going to give you a true average. Okay? I can provide a real-life example of when I would use mean, median, and mode. Well, we've already done that with the mean. It's a test average. The reason you would use a median number is if you have a bunch of different outliers. That might give you a better idea. And the mode is used less often, but a good real-life example would be something like you work at a store and you're trying to figure out which soft drink is bought more, or is Pepsi or Coke more popular. Those would be examples of mode. Qualitative data. If we go back to our cheat sheet that you'll be getting, qualitative data is data that cannot be shown with numbers. So for example, the most popular dessert was chocolate cake, or the cake versus Pepsi would fit. But qualitative data is simply something that is not, or it's not something, sorry, it's data that cannot be shown with numbers. Okay? Moving on, I can solve problems using mean, median, and mode. We're going to do the same thing with this set of data. So if I take my calculator, and this time I'm going to very carefully add them up. 22 plus 20, 21 plus 20 plus 19 plus 16 plus 15 plus 17 plus... Ooh. And my answer is going to be 233. So to find the mean, I need to figure out how many numbers there were. Well, there's 12 because there's 12 months in the year. So 233 divided by 12 is 19.4. So my mean is 19.4. My median, well, I need to put them in order for that. So if I list my numbers out here, 16, 17. And you need to be careful when you're doing this that you do not miss any numbers, or that will skew your data. 21. So I need to find out what my middle number is. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on this side, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these two numbers are in the middle. They're both 20, so that's good for me. And my mode, number that occurs most often, is going to be 21. What's the range of the data? I need to take my biggest number, subtract my smallest. So I take 22, and I subtract 15. And the answer is going to be 7. So my range will be 7. Make sure that you show your work for this. Next, I believe we're moving on to probability. So probability is the likelihood that something will happen. So for example, if you flip a coin, what is the likelihood that you'll get a heads or tails? There's one real life example. Real life example for some of these might be flipping coins, rolling dice, whatever. You can determine outcomes for probability. George is buying a new bike. He gets 4 paint colors as well as 2 seat covers. So I've made a chart here that shows their color as well as the seat cover. So you can see I get a black seat, or black bike with a black seat, black bike with a gray seat, etc., etc. And you can see here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options in total. So you needed to have a diagram similar to this. I can explain theoretical probabilities. If you toss 2 coins in the air, does the result of one affect the other? No. No, not at all. Not unless they hit each other in the air. But no. So just no. Last, I can explain theoretical probability. So I spin the pointer on this pointer several times. So here's my spinner. I've color-coded it to help you out. You can see there's 8 sections in total. 4 are red, 3 are orange, and 1 is blue. Okay, but I have 8 in total. My questions asked me what's the probability I spin orange. Well, there's 3 orange, there's 8 in total, so it's 3 out of 8. 1, 2, 3 out of 8 in total. Why could the expected probability differ from the actual results? Maybe I cheated, maybe the spinner doesn't work, or maybe real life just doesn't work out that way. Any of those would be fine. A jar contains 5 white rocks and 25 black rocks. So there's 30 in total. If I pick a rock out of the jar, what's the probability of picking white? It's going to be 5 out of 30. Or if I simplify my fraction, then it's going to be 1 out of 6. And all I did here was divide both these numbers by 5. Find the probability and state it as a fraction. This question was messed up. You can't have 11 blue sticks and only 9 sticks in the bag. Your probability works out to 122%. Kudos if you figured that out. Marbles drawn at random. Well, it worked out that I had 25 marbles in total and 7 blue, so it would be 7 out of 25. And for the second question here, I had 10, 20, plus 30, 40, 50. I had 50 marbles. What's the probability it will not be yellow? Is 35 out of 50. That's all for today.